Mary Ann had always felt most alive at 30,000 feet. The daughter of a small-town teacher and a retired military officer, she'd always been curious about the world beyond her town. Working as a stewardess for one of the most prestigious airlines in the country for the past 5 years, she had embraced her life in the skies, savoring each trip and relishing in the stories of the people she met. From the boardrooms of businessmen to the families traveling on vacation, she was the face of warmth and calm in the chaos of air travel, but beneath her vibrant smile, there was a longing. Mary Ann loved her independence, but there was something missing. She often found herself daydreaming during long flights, wondering if there was more to life than just the steady rhythm of departures and arrivals. She dated here and there, but nothing ever seemed to last. Her heart remained in the sky, and there was no one who could ground it. That was until she met Michael. Michael was no ordinary passenger. Though he moved through the airport terminals with the ease of a seasoned traveler, he was far from just another face in the crowd. To those who knew him, he was a reliable and sharp air marshal, entrusted with keeping the skies safe. His presence was always concealed under the guise of an everyday flyer, but his eyes were ever watchful. He had seen Mary Ann before. She had worked his flights a few times over the years, and though they exchanged only polite words, he couldn't help but notice her grace under pressure. She moved through the cabin with the efficiency of someone who had seen it all, yet maintained a kindness that never wavered. He admired her from afar, knowing that in his line of work, deep connections were often too dangerous to entertain. One day, fate would pull them together. It was supposed to be a routine flight from New York to London, one of those long hauls that made time stretch. Mary Ann was overseeing the first-class cabin when 3 men, posing as regular passengers, stood up and attempted to hijack the plane. Panic swept through the cabin as they shouted threats, brandishing weapons they had smuggled aboard. Mary Ann's training kicked in immediately. Her heart raced, but her face remained calm as she tried to manage the fear of the passengers. She scanned the aisle, assessing the situation, knowing that every moment was critical, and then she saw him. Michael had been sitting a few rows back, quietly observing everything. In one swift motion, he rose from his seat. As a secret air marshal, his job was to blend in until the moment called for him to act. This was that moment. Without hesitation, Michael moved toward the hijackers, his training taking over. He disarmed one of the men with a precise strike, sending the others into confusion. What followed was a tense but quick struggle. With Mary Ann's help in calming the other passengers and signaling for assistance, Michael subdued the hijackers, securing the plane's safety. The plane was forced to make an emergency landing in Iceland, where aviation police took over. The passengers, shaken but unharmed, breathed a collective sigh of relief. Mary Ann's nerves were still rattled, but when she looked over at Michael, who was quietly talking to one of the officers, she felt a strange sense of peace. In the calm after the storm, Mary Ann and Michael crossed paths once more. She approached him with a soft smile, a mixture of gratitude and curiosity in her eyes. "You saved all of us today," she said, her voice steady but warm. Michael looked at her, his usual cool demeanor giving way to something more personal. "You did just as much." Staying calm under pressure like that, it's not easy. They talked as they waited for the new flight arrangements to be made. What started as a conversation about the incident quickly turned into something deeper. They shared stories about their jobs, their lives, and the challenges that came with them. There was an undeniable chemistry, an unspoken connection that neither had expected. For the first time in years, Mary Ann felt something stir in her heart. Michael, with his quiet strength and unwavering sense of duty, was different from anyone she had ever met. He made her feel safe, but more than that, he made her feel seen. As the hours passed, their conversation continued. Michael found himself opening up in ways he hadn't in years. He was usually guarded, his career demanding discretion, but something about Mary Ann made him want to be honest. She had a warmth that was rare in his world of secrets and silence. By the time they parted ways at the airport, there was an unspoken promise between them. A feeling that their story was just beginning. Over the next few months, Mary Ann and Michael's paths crossed more frequently, both by coincidence and by choice. They shared dinners in far-off cities during layovers, talked late into the night, and explored each other's worlds. Mary Ann found herself looking forward to seeing him, her heart racing a little faster every time she received a text from him asking when she would be back in town. Michael, for his part, felt something he hadn't felt in a long time: hope. His job was dangerous, and his life was filled with unpredictability, but with Mary Ann, things felt simple. She grounded him, gave him something to look forward to beyond his next assignment. A year passed, and what began as a friendship had blossomed into something more. They shared countless moments of laughter and affection, their connection growing stronger with each passing day. They took trips together during their time off, explored cities they had only ever flown over, and shared secrets they had never told anyone else. One evening, during a quiet night in Paris, Michael took Mary Ann to a small cafe by the Seine. As they sat by the water, watching the city lights reflect on the river, Michael reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. "Mary Ann," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion, "you've changed my life in ways I never thought possible. Will you marry me?" Tears filled Mary Ann's eyes as she nodded, overwhelmed with joy. "Yes," she whispered, her heart overflowing with love. Their wedding was a small, intimate affair, attended by close friends and family. The sky, their shared passion, had brought them together, and it remained a central theme in their ceremony. They promised to stand by each other, no matter where life would take them. Years passed, and they welcomed two beautiful children into their lives. Mary Ann continued her work as a stewardess, balancing her career with motherhood, while Michael remained committed to his role as a secret air marshal. Together, they built a life full of love, adventure, and mutual respect. Though their careers often took them in different directions, they always found their way back to each other. Their home was filled with laughter, the sound of their children's voices mingling with stories of far-off places. In the end, it was the unexpected encounter on that fateful flight that had brought them together, a moment of danger that had led to a lifetime of love. Mary Ann and Michael continued to soar through life, side by side, knowing that no matter where the skies took them, they would always have each other. Thank you for watching. Please tap that subscribe button to help YouTube channel grow, and please like and share to your family and friends.